In this series, we've been examining perfectionism, what it looks like, its benefits, and its costs. In this video, we'll take a look at what we can do to rid ourselves of the negative aspects of perfectionism. In the last video, I said the way to avoid the costs associated with perfectionism is to ask yourself why you're working so carefully, so thoroughly. Is it because you feel compelled by some outside force? Are you hoping to be liked or accepted because of what you do? Does the work you do feel like it reflects your value or worth to the world? Does it define who you are? Well, if you answer yes to any of these questions, then you're probably leaning towards the dark side of perfectionism. Your perfectionism is likely related in some way to feeling like you have to prove your worth, your value. The thing is, your worth is not something that needs to be proven. In previous videos, I've talked about how when we're born, we have no questions about self-worth. We are here. That's good enough. That's all that really matters. And as infants, we are not comparing ourselves to others. We're simply alive. And that's more than good enough. The whole question of worthiness arises when we start learning all sorts of habits and beliefs from those around us. We take on the idea that we need to be a certain way to be loved, that our lovability, our worthiness, is based on how we behave. But, of course, that's a lie. We're worthy of love simply because we're alive. Worthiness is actually beyond the world of evidence. It's as if the definition of being human, of being alive, is worthy. When we begin to wrap our head and our heart around this, some of the pressure that compels us to perfection is released. That really is the core of overcoming the dark side of perfectionism, recognizing that we're inherently worthy, that our worth can't be measured. It's a given. Sometimes this can be difficult to start believing. That's why I do what I do. And if you want some help moving toward recognizing your inherent worth, let's talk. Contact me at the link in the description below. Now, another step in the process of overcoming perfection is to realize another hard truth. You need to let go of some way you see yourself, some identity that you hold on to. See, if you're a perfectionist, it's likely that on the outside you see yourself as perfect, or at least nearly so. That's why you do such fabulous work. But it's also likely that on the inside, there's a fear that that view of yourself isn't true, that in reality you're flawed. That's why we all feel a need to prove our worth, to counteract that fear. What's interesting is that to move past perfectionism, you have to let the view of yourself as flawed die. You need to let go of your deeper identity as someone who isn't as they're supposed to be. What would your life look like if you completely believed in your worthiness, that you have nothing to prove? What would you do then? Letting go of your identity as flawed or broken will make room for a new identity, one that recognizes you're human with all the flaws that implies, and at the same time, worthy. Now, this is a rather big and challenging topic for some, and if you want to learn more, I discuss more thoroughly in my book, Thoughts on Demand, just this topic. It's in Chapter 5. There's a link to the book in the description below as well. Now, another practice you can implement immediately is to begin thinking about embodying excellence rather than perfection. You see, perfection has a finite sense about it. It's perfect. No change or growth needed, or even possible. Perfection is complete. Excellence, on the other hand, is more open. It invites growth, leaves room for inspiration. Excellence feels like a choice rather than a compulsion. Leave perfection behind in favor of excellence. That will likely ease the pressure that you're feeling. Now, perfectionism also encourages black and white thinking. Everything is either perfect or a complete failure. There's no real middle ground. This very narrow view of life traps us at one pole or the other. And it doesn't allow for shades of gray, let alone seeing things in full color. Reframing how we see things, though, can open our eyes to that color. Perfectionism, with its black and white perspective, is eased when we see things from a broader perspective. We begin to realize that what appeared as failures or flaws, they begin to reveal themselves as opportunities. And when we take in a broader view, meanings of things begin to change. They become more fluid, more creative, less dogmatic. Well, there are some ways to overcome perfectionism. They may sound complicated or difficult, but as with anything, they're only as complicated or difficult as we believe they are. Maybe that's a topic for another video. We experience what we believe. I'll look into that. In the meantime, I do encourage you to reach out to me if you'd like a little help with some of the things that we've explored in this series. I hope you found this series helpful, and as always, don't forget to subscribe and to tell your friends. We're all in this together. Till next time, I wish you abundance and joy.